Hi guys. So I want to talk about chronic illness and routine. Now, I was never one for routine. I always kind of pride myself on, whatever happens, happens. And, I don't really have a routine and I can be out the door in 5 minutes. And I used to be that way. However, since I got diagnosed with NCS, I've found that routine has become the savior of my days. If I get through my routine, I know for sure that my day is going to turn out a lot better than if I didn't go through that routine. And the reason why is all about that salt intake, that water intake, and making sure you're on your meds and that you take your meds, at a certain time every day. And so you kind of have to feel out your own routine. And for me, I have to wake up a lot earlier than I used to. I can't just wake up and then roll out of the door. I have to be up for, I think, at least 2 hours, 2.5 hours before I'm really capable of everyday life, if that makes any sense, because it gives me time to get my water on board, get my salt on board, get my medication on board, kind of shake out the wiggles before I go to work, go to school. And I've found that if I try to go to work or to go to school before I have my water in, before I have my medication in, before I have all of my salt in, I've found that I tend to crash and burn, and I can't focus, and I have a really hard time performing tasks and finishing tasks. So, especially for someone who's newly diagnosed, I definitely suggest finding your own routine, whatever that may be. For me, I keep a large cup of water by the bed. I'll set it there the night before, and then I'll have several alarms, like four, all 15 minutes after the last one. So if I'm wanting to be up by, say, 8, I'll have one set for 7:30, and then I'll have one set for 7:40 or 7:45, one at 7:50, and then one at 8. Because on the bad days where I'm feeling more groggy and I'm feeling more foggy, it takes me longer to wake up. So it's a good idea to have multiple alarms just in case you decide to kill the first two. But I'll usually set a couple alarms, and then at the point that I wake up, I take my time. I think the problem with a lot of people with dysautonomia or other chronic illness is a lot of times they'll try to jump out of bed because they're late or for whatever reason. And especially for people with dysautonomia, that's pretty bad because you have been dehydrating throughout the night. You haven't been drinking water, which means you're going to be dehydrated when you wake up in the morning. That means that your blood volume is lower. That means that when you go to stand up, your blood volume isn't high enough to make sure that you get, blood and oxygen to your brain. And that's why a lot of people pass out in the morning, is because they don't take the time to drink their water or to simply just take it slow. Don't go from lying to standing really quick. So, sit up and sit there for a couple minutes, and then sit on the edge of the bed for a couple minutes, and then stand. Feel it out. Don't just try jumping out of bed. So at the point that I've gotten myself out of bed, I usually drink my entire bottle of water throughout my morning routine. I'm not saying you chug it and then you are fine, but I found that drinking it throughout the morning, it gets that water on board while I'm doing the rest of my routine. And I would like to make a more in-depth video of my morning routine, just so that you guys can get some ideas of how you might want to change your routine, or if you have suggestions for me, or whatever it may be. But that'll give you some idea of what my morning routine is and how I found that routine helps me personally. But I am a big believer in routine when it comes to chronic illness, because there's a lot of factors that go into how you're going to feel that day. How much sleep did you get? How much stress are you under? How much water have you drank? Are you sick? There are so many factors that go into how you're going to feel a certain day. So the more factors you can control, such as sleep, or controlling when you eat your meals or whatnot, the best way to determine the outcome of how your day is going to go is to be able to control as many of those factors as you can. Not to say you can control all of them, because you can't, but trying to regulate as much of those factors as possible will give you the best chance of having a good body day, as I like to call it. And that doesn't just mean morning routine. That means, how do you spend your morning? How do you, when do you have your meals? Do you have your meal later in the day? Do you have it super early in the morning? When do you take your medication? Is your medication supposed to be taken with or without food? What's your night routine? What do you do to get yourself ready for bed, and how to get ready for the next day? Do you meal plan? Do you set your water by your nightstand at night? So all of those routines can really help your day and make sure that you start out with the best chance possible of being able to function like a normal human being. So I am a big believer in routines, and I definitely suggest finding your own routine. Not to say that mine will work for you. It may work terribly, but I think that finding your own routine not only helps you as far as making sure that your body is as well oiled a machine as possible, but it also kind of helps your mental status of that day. Having that routine and feeling like you're in control can help a lot, especially with chronic illness. So I definitely recommend routine.